What is good, X-Men fans out there? It is your boy M.V.K again. I promised you guys I would continue to give my thoughts on every episode of X-Men 97. And we're here to do on the episode entitled Fire Made Flesh. This is the third episode of X-Men 97. The episode, we're going to talk about what I liked, what this sets up, and more importantly, overall, my feelings. So let's get my overall feelings of this episode. I enjoyed it. First and foremost, look. Because I've been reading a lot of critics, and yes, they condensed a very popular story in the X-Men called Inferno. They condensed it. Yes, they did that. When you adapt something, a storyline or an arc, yeah, especially animated wise, yeah, it may get condensed to maybe not what we want, but you got to accept it to a degree, and that's what this episode really did. It was condensed to get to point A to point B where it needed to go. The episode ended with Jean coming in and basically we defining that the Jean that Morph held was her. Didn't I say that in last? For anybody out there that was like, oh, it's not. Yes, it was no way that they were not going. I was a little bit maybe. Would they change maybe this version, the animated version? Did I feel I did have some indications that maybe they were going to make Jean, the real Jean, actually Cable's mom, and the matter that was Madeline Pryor that had it, but no. But yes, it was condensed, and that's something that we have to understand that's going to happen. But that should never take away from the point that it was still pretty damn good for what they gave. So 30 minutes, it was pretty damn good. They get down to the clues of yes, the Jean that got birth to Nathan, that is a clone. Now, yes, that does set up some answers and some questions, and that's talked about even in the series. But we got our first showing of my favorite X-Men villain, Mr. Sinister, in all his glory. He looked great. I even like the voice actor who voiced him, and Sinister is like a G. My man can just elusively get in the X-Mention just like that. He got in the X-Mention no problem to inform the Jean that we thought was Jean, you're a clone. I made you. And things like that. So it was really cool. But throughout the episode, it was really cool to see, Beast using his science to really kind of go into detail and explain, like, yeah, every scientist has their own, like, almost like their own surge of like identification, and Beast is the one that I love that Beast acknowledged that I've seen this before, and I like that he knew it was from Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister, and so they knew that. But you could kind of see that it was going in that direction with Jean kind of always being a little defensive, like, how do we know she's? And it was just that moment. The horror aspect of the episode was really good. I like the whole horror aspect, what they did tease before, but I did enjoy that. I was like, okay, this is cool. The horror aspect, Jubilee and Sunspot was watching a movie, and then all of a sudden everything starts going, things like that. And Beast sees that, Gambit sees this, and yeah, boy, did Gambit see a lot. That was messed up what Gambit saw. But outside of that, it was cool. I like that horror aspect to it. But yes, it did focus, and then when she became her Goblin Queen persona, and looking in her natural look with the black and everything, I enjoyed that. But seeing that Jean, the real Jean, was having problems or she couldn't even remember certain things. That's where the question, I will say, in terms of where, and I'm hoping they may go back to that, or they I don't think they will, but it does bring up some questions of when did this happen? When did this happen? Because going back and watching all the episodes that Mr. Sinister were, trying to figure out where, when Sinister, because Sinister had Jean one time, so, you know, and then he is trying to figure out, okay, where did this happen? Because they question that as well throughout the whole episode. Like, was she always here, or was Madeline the host of the Phoenix? Is the Jean that Cyclops married, was that Madeline Pryor or Jean? So I actually enjoyed that to a degree. And then you get to the scope of the mind battle between Jean and Madeline, and then realizing, not only that, then you realize what Sinister has. He took baby Nathaniel, baby Cable, and soon as I saw what was happening, I'm like, they're probably gonna do it. And we saw what happened once he said, "I'm gonna make you invincible," and I'm like, is he gonna do it? And then we find out what he did. The techno-organic virus. That is the reason why Cable has the arm. It was supposed to make him, however, they changed it because it wasn't Sinister that gave him the techno-organic virus. It was Apocalypse in the comics. So they switched that. I was like, okay, they switched that. But I did like the fact that, yeah, even after Madeline's like, look, they kind of, her and Jean kind of like, look, your child is in danger. And I love that aspect. That aspect, which I really enjoyed, when you saw like Scott, really, you felt for Scott, because here he is, now he's like, I got to give up my son. My father abandoned me. Technically he didn't. And that was something I also had a problem with. That's another thing I had a problem with this episode. Scott going on that rampage about Corsair, because we all saw what happened. It wasn't a case of Corsair abandoning him. He didn't abandon him. I was a little, and Scott knows that. So why did he say that? But yeah, I did feel that. But also we see, that was also pretty good too, to see that, yeah, they had to, and it took Bishop to go back to his future, because he said, I know a guy that could help him, and I think we all know who that guy was. But I'm like, okay, so Bishop can go back, and so yeah, Madeline had to give up her child and have Bishop take him to the future. So that was interesting. I enjoyed that. To that degree, I was fine with that. And then seeing the Jean and her clone basically saying, goodbye, Jean, I'm sorry, no. But then she said, no, my name, she wanted the name Madeline Pryor, and then she walked off. So hopefully we'll see her again, maybe we won't. But yes, I understand where a lot of critics are coming from with this. Basically saying they took one of the X-Men's greatest storylines, Inferno is one of them, and condensed it to so much that it left you kind of, I understand where people are coming from. But having said that, it shouldn't have stopped anybody from not enjoying the episode, because the episode was really good. I still enjoyed it. And then at the end, what did we see? We saw Storm in her classic 80s look, with the black leather, sleeveless jacket, everything, in a bar. And who comes to see her? A former and fellow mutant and former and future ex-lover, Forge. And I was like, is that Forge? And I'm like, yeah, that was Forge. I was like, that's Forge. But outside of that, Fire Made Flesh was good. I hated the fact that there were things about the episode that I did not like. There were some, like, I didn't like that speech that Psych gave about his father, because he knows better. He knows the situation. He knows the situation. So yeah, that was something I didn't like. I was hoping. Here's what I was also hoping. I was hoping that maybe the whole Madeline Pryor, they would have made this their first two-parter or something like that to give it more time, but it didn't, and that's a little nitpick at that. But I was fine. I don't mind that they switched Mr. Sinister for Apocalypse, giving Cable the techno-virus, because it's Apocalypse that gave it to him, not Sinister. So I was like, okay, that still makes sense, because he's always wanted their offspring, you know. The other things I loved about it was seeing Morph again. Give it up to Morph. Morphed, shapeshifted into Magique. He shapeshifted. Not only did he shapeshift into Magique, he also shapeshifted into her demonic side, Dark Child. So I was like, that's cool. The little notions and the hints and the winks that's really cool. It's like they keep giving hints of maybe the New Mutants are coming, because that was Illyana. And how would he know what Illyana looked like? That was crazy. I was like, that was dope. But the other thing I also liked is, I would say maybe Jean now really knowing, like, okay, Logan really has the hots for me, because remember, he was like, Jean, focus on my mind, and then she's like, that's how you really feel about me? I'm like, okay. But I also have a bad feeling on, I feel bad for Scott again, because now he had to give up his son, okay, but then also he has to find a connection with a Jean that he may or may not have known, you know, for like, are they married? Are they married? Are they this? You know, this is bringing up a lot, and I like that scene too, where they're together, and it's like, okay, how does that go? But I'm glad. I thought the episode was pretty damn decent. I can't wait to the next episode next Wednesday. Fire Made Flesh. It was great because I got to see Sinister. I love Mr. Sinister. That's my favorite X-Men villain. And Madeline Pryor, she say what you want. She whooped Magneto's ass. Like, at the end of that, he was messed up. I was like, wow, she got him. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to continue. Will there be any episodes that are like two-parters and things like that? Could this have been a two-parter? Yeah, it could have been. But I guess they wanted to move this story really quick, and I know some people are going to hate that. I am 50-50 on it, because again, when you're adapting something, a storyline, a story arc or so, yeah, it could be harder to do, but for me it was pretty good. I enjoyed it very much. You guys tell me, what did you think of episode 3 of X-Men 97, entitled Flesh? Fire Made Flesh, sorry. We got to see Madeline Pryor. Now this was her first animated adaptation, so yeah. And now she's in the world, and you feel bad for her too, because she gave up her son. She had to give up her child to save him. Will we see Cable again? Yes, I heard Cable will be, and Chris Potter is going to be voicing him. The original Gambit actor is going to be voicing Cable when he comes, so that's going to be cool. I wish he was voicing Gambit, but the guy that's voicing Gambit now is okay. But outside of that, guys, you guys take care. I will see you guys next time, next week, with my next thought video on X-Men 97. Y'all take care.